This is Meg, and welcome to All Booked Up with Cailey and Meg. So each week we've been giving you different book recommendations related to a different theme or topic. So this week we do not have Cailey with us, but we have our lovely reference librarian, Mary, here to help us. Thank you, Mary. Mary works in the same department as me, and she actually runs our mystery book club. So we thought it'd be fun to kind of go over some cool mystery and thriller type reads, that might be interesting for you, some within the last year, some a little older, just anything that would be fun to listen to. So thank you, Mary. And as usual, all of the books that we're going to be talking about today should be available either in physical format here at our mentor locations or digitally through our Libby or Hoopla apps, where you can either listen or read these books on your phones, tablets, or computers as well. All right, so Mary, what is your first book that you're talking about today?
I would like to talk to you about this book called Lost Man. It is by Jane Harper, and it is Jane Harper is actually a wonderful writer. She's written a bunch of other books, but all of her books are actually set in Australia. And so this one, The Lost Man, is a standalone. So you don't have to have read any of the other books in the series, or it's not even part of a series. But right. What's really kind of cool about it is that there are three brothers, and two brothers get together because their third brother is found dead. And he died of thirst on their family homestead in Australia. And the brothers are like, how can somebody who's lived their entire life in the outback of Australia, how could somebody then who knows everything there is to know about how dry it is, where to find water, and all the safety precautions that he has to take, how could he die of thirst in their family homestead? And so he actually it's kind of really, really interesting, because as time goes on, you begin to think maybe he didn't die by accident. Maybe somebody worked their magic, it's not really magic, but and got him out there, and he died by not by circumstance but by purpose. Wow. So it is a great book. I highly recommend it. In fact, I love this book so much, I talked my book club into actually doing it, and we're going to actually read this book for our October 6th meeting, and we're going to actually discuss this then. Again, I love this book so much. I love the fact that it's not America, and I love the fact that it's a slightly different background, but it's still written in English and it's not translated. So it really but it is just slightly enough different that it keeps your interest. And it's all about the Australian outback, and it's very, very cool.
Wow, yeah, that sounds great. Have you read Jane Harper before this, or no?
I did. Jane Harper has a series that has, I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 other books in it that has to do with a police detective. And so, those were her debut. That was her debut book. She had those 2 debut books, and then she had this one as her 3rd book. And I like them all, but I loved this one.
That sounds really cool. Yeah, Australia. I haven't read a mystery set in Australia, so that is really neat. So my first book it came out actually just this past June, and it's called The Last Flight by Julie Clark. And it's a standalone, just like yours. And I've never read Julie Clark before, so this one sounds really good. It's kind of like a thriller, like very fast-paced one. And it's about these 2 women, and they both meet by chance at an airport, and they both have these situations in their life that they kind of want to escape from. So the first woman, her name is Claire Cook, and she is the wife of this very successful politician. So she, on the outside, it looks like she has this perfect life, but behind closed doors, it's a different story. So her husband has this volatile temper. He's very obsessed with image, obviously. So he actually kind of hires some staff to keep her under surveillance to make sure she's, maintaining this image, this politician's wife image at all times. And so she feels really like, I need to escape this life. The other woman, her name is Ava. she had this rough upbringing in orphanages, and now as an adult, she's had to resort to selling drugs. And so she has her own entanglements that she wants to escape from. So when they share these stories with each other, they're like, let's just switch each other's plane tickets and let's just escape our lives. So Eva was on her way to Oakland, and now Claire is going to go to Oakland, and Claire, to perform a political engagement, was on her way to Puerto Rico. So Ava is now going to Puerto Rico. Well, what happens is that the flight to Puerto Rico crashes. So everyone on that flight is presumed to be dead, including Claire, who is this very famous political figure. So all the news media outlets think that this wife of this very famous politician is dead, but Claire is actually in Oakland, California. And so now Claire is in this situation where she is assuming this new identity in Oakland, and she's kind of, there are some secrets that Ava had that Claire didn't know about. So she's finding out all these crazy things, and maybe this escape that she originally thought she was going to have is not so much an escape. So it's a very interesting book of these swapped lives and what happens. It alternates each chapter between the two women. So definitely an interesting, a quick read, like a page turner you can't put down. So that's my second one.
My second book is called Wherever She Goes, and it's by Kelley Armstrong. And I love Kelley Armstrong. I can't even tell you. She is one of my favorite authors. She writes teen books. She writes paranormal romance. She writes, and she writes thrillers. And her writing thrillers is kind of new for her, you know. Yeah. So she writes this really great Rockton series that's set in the way out in the upper portion of Canada where there's nothing around, you know. But this book is called Wherever She Goes. And with this one, there is a woman who goes to she goes to a park with her child. Okay. I think it's a daughter. Yeah. And can't remember, you know, but she goes to a park with her daughter, and they meet this mother and son, and they're just kind of hanging out. And then the next time they go to the park the next weekend, she just sees the son, no mother around. And then as she's kind of hanging out with her daughter, she starts hearing this boy yelling and saying, no, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And she sees a couple of men drag this boy into a van, and they disappear, you know. Wow. And so her name is Aubrey, and Aubrey just kind of freaks out, and she calls the police, and she's like, I just saw this kid abducted. And the police are like, okay. And they start to look around, and then all of a sudden, like nobody else saw it. No one else, they can't find the mother, they can't find the child, nobody is reported missing, there's no father in the picture, you know. And so people start to think that maybe Aubrey is crazy and that she imagined it. And so and Aubrey has a couple of skeletons in her closet, and she's currently separated, working on getting divorced, and she doesn't have custody of her son or her daughter or her child. And so when people start looking at her, they're like, well, if she doesn't have custody of her own child, you know, there must be something wrong with her, you know. And so here you have this woman who absolutely positively knows that she saw an abduction, and the police don't believe her, and nobody comes forward saying they're missing a child, and they all think that she's crazy, you know, and her husband thinks she's crazy, and she's like, no, I saw this. And so she starts to investigate it on her own because nobody believes her. And then the question is, and at some point she starts to think she's crazy herself, because she's like, she knows she saw it, but nobody believes her, and there's no evidence, you know. So did she actually see this kidnapping? But she knows she did, you know. And so this book it kind of goes on from there as to, you know, how she investigates it, you know, and kind of looks through it. So I recommend this one as well. I actually highly recommend anything that Kelley Armstrong has actually written, and I highly recommend the Rockton series, but this one is a standalone as well. And I again, I totally think that it is well worth your time reading it. So
awesome. Yeah. And I love those psychological ones where, like, can you rely on this narrator or this character? So that sounds like a very interesting one too. So my last one is actually the first book in a series, and this one takes place in Victorian England in the 1840s. It's called The Secrets of Wishtide by Kate Saunders. And I love this. This is kind of more almost in the realm of cozy mystery, but it's a little more in depth than I think than most cozy mysteries. So it follows this recently widowed woman in her 50s. Her name is Mrs. Letitia Rod, and she lived in the country for many years with her husband, who was an archdeacon. So once he dies, she moves back to her home town of London. So she grew up in London, and she has this very calm demeanor on the outside. No one suspects that in her off time, she actually is a private detective solving grisly mysteries. So she actually does it in tandem with her brother, who is a criminal barrister. And Letitia and her brother have this really cute relationship. She doesn't have any children. He has 10 children. So they kind of joke about that. And they have this little secret code that they talk about their mystery cases. So no one in the Victorian society can guess what she really does for a living. So it's really cute. And the main mystery covered in this is the missing son in the very wealthy Calderstone family. So this is this prominent family, and the young dashing son goes missing. So Letitia, going incognito, decides to apply for their governess role, and she gets it. So she moves to the Calderstone estate and pretends to be, or actually does work as the governess there. So she gets really close to the family, discovers a lot of the secrets, and gradually comes to find out that there were many more secrets than just this missing son going on in this family. So it's a very interesting, intricate plot mystery. And then it's the first in the series. There was a second one that came out last year. So if you like this first one, there's more to go on, and I think there will be more in the future. So that's my last one, and that's a good one if you more like the series and the cozy one. So all right.
I love cozy mysteries just because there's not, there's death or there's a mystery. It's not blatantly in your face, and I noticed that there's a lot of people who actually really love cozy mysteries, so I highly recommend those.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys for listening to this edition of All Booked Up. And thank you again, Mary, for joining us and giving us some great recommendations. So next week, we'll hopefully have Cailey back, and we're actually going to be going over teen reads. Next week, we're going to be going over teen road trip books. So, in the summer, going on a road trip. So those will be some good YA books we'll have for you next week. Once again, any of these books are hopefully available on Libby, or you can put it on hold for the physical copy, and we'll be happy to get it for you. So once again, happy reading. Oh yeah, go ahead, Mary.
Don't forget, if you read Lost Man, my book club, the It's a Mystery book club, is going to be discussing it on October 6th.
Oh yeah. Mary, tell them how they would go about doing that if they wanted to join your book club.
So if you wanted to join the book club, you can email me. I'm mary.pelton@mentorpl.org, and just tell me that you're interested in coming. And we have the books all at the reference desk. So you can either come and pick up a book at the reference desk, or you can go through Libby. And then once you've picked up the book, you can read the book. And then when we come and on October 6th, you can come in and we're going to be Zooming, I'm going to assume, and then we can actually log y'all in, and we'll have everybody discuss the book. So it's just
sounds good.
I had 10 people at my last one, so I would love to have you all join and have 11 or 12 or 20.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that sounds great. Yeah. So thank you, Mary, once again, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.